hydrogen as a fuel is your destination.
We needed to find a technology partner that kind of mirrored our professional values, if you will. We interviewed 18 different technology firms.
Carmyn Experion journey started in 2021.
Not coming from a software engineering background, I really didn't know where to start.
Experion, we believe that entrepreneurs need more than just coding.
Welcome to another episode of FutureX. In today's episode, IronK AGM Delivery Service sits down with Ben Slayden, the CEO and founder of Carmyn, a revolutionary platform that fuels your car while you stay parked. Let's dive into the story behind Carmyn and how Experion helped bring this ambitious vision to life, building a product that changes the way we think about time, technology, and the planet.
Hello, Ben. Good morning.
Hey, how you doing?
How good? How are you?
Not too bad, hanging in there.
So, excited to be with you and share your Carmyn journey with us today. Let us start from the beginning. Take us to the old days where you got that spark of the idea of the Carmyn. What was the exact business problem which you were so passionate about solving those initial days?
So a couple different things really. So I'll kind of start with the first piece and then we can kind of go into the second piece if you like. So first piece, I was an MBA student at Cornell University, and as part of any kind of like MBA program, you have to do like a venture project or something like that. It's where you have to come up with like a business idea and then put together a business plan and all these types of things. And so that was really kind of the genesis to actually putting together a business plan for some of the pain points that I was personally experiencing. One of them being when I was an expat in Montreal, Canada, working for Lockheed Martin. Canadian winters tend to be quite long and quite cold.
Okay.
And so when you're looking at automotive services or whatnot and having to render those services yourself outside in a Canadian winter, that can be quite painful. And so I said, okay, well, there's got to be something there. And so the MBA program kind of allowed me to kind of peel back the layers of the onion on what that problem is and how I could actually turn that into a business. And then shortly after my expat assignment, I took a sabbatical down to South America. And when you're flying over Patagonia, you can see where the glaciers used to be at compared to where they're at today. When you go to Glacier National Park in Montana, you can see where the glaciers used to be at today. And so me being a backpacker is like, we got to do something about this or whatnot. And so we developed this idea for hydrogen being a zero emission energy source and, kind of where we probably should transition to as a society. But if society is not typically ready for hydrogen today, what can we do today to build up a viable business? And that's where it goes to those initial automotive services that I was experiencing from a pain point in Montreal, Canada. And that was kind of the initial, I kind of thought behind it.
Okay. Thank you, Ben, for sharing your product vision. That was definitely inspiring. It's heartening to know that your vision, which started in the university, is still continuing with you, and it is getting materialized into a product. Thank you for sharing that. So, like you mentioned, hydrogen as a fuel is your destination in the product vision. But how did you start? What was your first step towards this bigger vision?
So looking at, to your point, hydrogen is kind of the North Star, if you will, but it's not necessarily ready for prime time today. How do we start, right? So to your point, and if we want to make a transition to hydrogen as a fuel source, you need the scale in order to do so. And so looking at, specifically the transportation sector and transitioning the transportation sector to hydrogen, scale can really only be found within the commercial sector or enterprises, if you will. So looking at, from an enterprise perspective, what are your pain points that you're experiencing today? Legacy fuels being one of them. Whatnot, if you take like a logistics company in particular, a lot of vans are making their way to individual gas stations, if you will, as opposed to delivering packages or something like that. And so that's kind of where we really started to hone in on, hydrogen is the North Star, how are we going to actually get started today? And so that's how we ended up with on-demand mobile refueling services to actually begin with.
So Ben, every big idea faces a lot of hurdles in the initial days. What were some of the key challenges or problems which you encountered during those initial days?
So challenges, there are many, being in the energy sector and in a highly regulated environment. Both federal and state and local authorities are scrutinizing kind of our every move, if you will. So going to our more public-facing platforms, which would be the website or the app or whatnot, we needed to find a technology partner that kind of mirrored our professional values, if you will. And that turned out to be incredibly challenging for a couple of different reasons. One, we started and we launched this business in a once-in-a-century pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. So trying to find somebody while everybody's kind of at home was incredibly challenging in itself, but also just finding somebody that we knew that could execute on the vision and whatnot. And so we actually we interviewed 18 different technology firms, if you will, and landed on Experion. Just going through the process, it was pretty clear from the onset. Speaking with Manoj out in Dallas or whatnot, that Experion was a really good fit for what we wanted to do.
So Ben, you mentioned about 18 different technology providers whom you approached during the initial days to collaborate with you on developing the product. What was your process of assessing them? And how did you land at Experion finally?
So first off, not coming from a software engineering background, I really didn't know where to start. So I kind of cast a little bit of a wide net, if I can say it that way. So we interviewed potential technology partners in various regions of the world. Firms in Pakistan, India, the United States, Canada, and ultimately landed on Experion as being a really good fit for what we wanted to do. A couple different things that kind of led to that decision. First off, Experion was incredibly consistent throughout the entire process. And we went through many interviews and we were looking for reasons to kind of say, hey, maybe that's not a good fit, if that kind of makes sense. But throughout the entire process, Experion was very professional grade, very consistent in their communications, their approaches and whatnot, which kind of gave us a little bit more of a comfortability factor. Also, I think what's incredibly beneficial to Experion is that they also have an office in the United States. For somebody who lives in the United States, having something developed overseas can be a little bit unnerving, if you will, potentially. But also Experion having that U.S. presence also gave us a little bit more of a comfortability factor. So not only was it the execution of our initial kind of interactions between Carmyn and Experion, but also the fact that Experion has locations both in the U.S. and in India.
Thank you, Ben, for sharing that and why you chose Experion. So at Experion, we believe that the entrepreneurs need more than just coding. They need strategic partnership, agility, and a collaborating team, a product engineering team. How was your experience in working with Experion?
What was really great about working with Experion was that we were able to just bring an idea to Experion. Then Experion was able to kind of like provide a little bit more structure around that idea and actually turn it into like a finalized product. So for example, with our initial services serving commercial enterprises and commercial fleets, we came up with this idea for maybe individually coding or tagging each vehicle as we're providing services directly to the vehicle. And in speaking with Experion and the team with this sort of idea, they said, well, how about we put like an OCR within the actual app itself. So what's an OCR? Optical character reader or whatnot within that, which allowed us to really kind of streamline that entire process as far as like digitizing each individual vehicle as we're providing services to those individual vehicles. That makes sense. So that was kind of a great key example of bringing an idea to Experion, and then Experion said, great idea. Okay, this is probably the way we want to do it at that point in time. Then just kind of actually just turning that into like an actual like scope document and how we want to actually do that. So it was incredibly helpful.
So Ben, the Carmyn and Experion journey started in 2021, and the product has evolved a lot from that point. Different milestones, different releases. How did Experion assisted you through this product journey?
Well, I'd say first off, just Experion is very service oriented, and they're great at listening, and so from initial phases and whatnot to today, that's one thing that's always been incredibly beneficial, is that they're always kind of service minded, if you will, which just makes it very easy to work with. Also, the fact that Experion's team is quite deep, so as the service and product kind of evolved and whatnot, Experion had to staff for that. Yep, that kind of makes sense. It is very easy to, continue working and developing and growing our relationship with Experion because they have such a deep expertise within a variety of fields. So whatever we really need, we can find that within Experion. They also have a team of business analysts, if you will. And so kind of help liaise, if you will, or be kind of a liaison to the software engineers that are also working at Experion and whatnot. So they were also kind of help frame this idea, kind of in kind of a quasi-engineering, quasi-business format or whatnot, that was able to just kind of lend itself to a more streamlined development effort or development process, if you will. And then if you're looking at as Carmyn has evolved over time, so we're getting into EV charging and whatnot. Experion already has a team of technical developers to help facilitate those efforts as well,
Yes.
If that makes sense.
So when you started with a product vision and today you have a working product, you have more ideas to add on to the product and build a platform, and you're inspiring many other entrepreneurs. So what is your advice to the fellow entrepreneurs who are starting on a similar journey?
So really my overarching advice is just to jump into it.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing that we had a little bit of hesitation in our earlier stages, just because we didn't know who we're going to partner with or who we're going to find to help us build this technology stack or whatnot. And so we lost a few months really, and just kind of in this hesitant phase or whatnot, because we didn't really know how we should proceed with that. So my advice would be just to kind of jump in, go to the deep end, wait around, whatnot, and you'll figure it out if that can make sense.
So thank you, Ben, for sharing all these ideas with us, and thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on the next episode of FutureX.